It's been a while. You look great, by the way. You look fantastic. What? Me? Forget about you? Come on. You know me, right? Look at me. I mean, do I look like the kind of guy to claim to be starting a consistent upload schedule and then soon after forget that he has a YouTube channel and fail to upload for over a year? Oh, what's that? I do? That's strange. I wonder why. So I found myself inspired by a certain game recently, and I did some analysis on it, and I wanted to talk about my findings. The game in question is, of course, A Short Hike, which can be surmised from the title. Shocking, really. For those uninitiated, A Short Hike is an indie game developed by Adam Robinson Yu, where the premise is to do just that. Take a short hike up to the peak of a mountain. Oh no. Provincial Park. Provincial Park. Provincial. I was about to pronounce that wrong. Boy, am I glad I looked it up. The game's protagonist is Claire, a bird from the city who's living temporarily at Hawk Peak Provincial Park. On your journey to the summit of the mountain, you'll come across a variety of hikers and locals, each with their own stories to experience. Congrats, you're now initiated. But if you weren't before, I would actually very strongly recommend that you play this game if you have the means. Because of its innately low stakes, I can pretty much recommend this game to anyone, and so I will. After I played for a while, one thing became increasingly obvious to me about A Short Hike. The game's strongest aspect is its simplicity. The main overarching premise is very easy to understand, as it's literally just hike to Hawk Peak, and I think that's fantastic. I played this game hot off the heels of series like Yakuza and Persona and Nier, and I find that it really helped to remind me that a game with a lower focus on narrative and a higher focus on creating a simple and inviting world can be just as fun and interesting as a game with a heavy focus on its story, which is a similar conclusion to that of my video on A Hat in Time. NPCs around the island all have little stories to tell, like a painter who's never satisfied with their work, or a scalper who's just trying to pay his college tuition, or a hiker whose camping permit was swallowed by a fish. The dialogue's very well written, so it may be surprising to learn that Adam Robinson Yu, the game's developer, struggled constantly with writer's block. According to him, the best way that he found to write dialogue was just to write it as if he was texting a friend. A Short Hike has excellent atmosphere. There are many factors that contribute to this, such as the game's relaxing and dynamic soundtrack that builds an instrumentation as you approach the summit, or the game's low poly and colorful art style, which is both fun and easy to look at. Or it could be the copious amount of dialogue that's in the game. Above all else, though, the game is honestly just plain relaxing. Adam Robinson Yu apparently wanted to capture the feeling of hiking whenever he was working on the game, so there was no violence or conflict, and actually he was afraid during its development that the game would be boring as a result. Though I think I can safely say that those fears were misplaced. Also, I think now is probably as good a time as ever to talk about the OST, because the music is like really good. I listen to it a lot, especially when I'm feeling unproductive. It just kind of evokes my sense of adventure when I listen to it. It just makes me want to get up and do something. It's actually a big reason why I decided to finally sit down and write, shoot, and edit this video. But I think the main cause of that was the fact that I realized that a YouTube channel that was collecting cobwebs, so sorry about that. Although I'll admit that I'm severely lacking in credentials as just some random internet person that you probably don't even know the real name of, I hope you'll allow me to stand on a soapbox for a moment to talk about the importance of atmosphere, as through my many years of video game analysis, I've seen it done right and I've seen it done wrong. The atmosphere of a video game can drastically affect the player's experience, as it can be the difference between being immersed and not being immersed. A game's atmosphere is comprised of many, many components, such as sound effects, music, visuals, dialogue, gameplay, and so forth. If even one of these components falls through, a game's atmosphere can be negatively impacted and, in some extreme cases, fall apart entirely, breaking the player's immersion. A Short Hike does a great job at keeping this immersion, as all of the game's components come together to make an experience reminiscent of a relaxing hike with no stakes to meet or danger to be wary of. This is all very difficult to put into words, but A Short Hike is a great example of a game with good atmosphere that can whisk your troubles away for a while and put you in a world that you'll want to come back to later. A Short Hike is the kind of game that you can play in small sessions and still get the most of your experience. Because of this fact, I can pick up and play whenever I feel like it. I could play for a few minutes, I could play for a few hours, it really doesn't matter. Going back to what I said before about the world of a short hike being the kind of world that you want to return to after you leave, I think that really is very applicable in my case. Sometimes I can turn an entire day from bad to good with just one simple play session. I've seen stories of people talking about how the game has helped with their depression, and actually that's partially true in my case as well. Very often over quarantine would I experience these emotional lulls, these points in time where I just felt terrible and I really couldn't explain why. But a short hike never failed to make me feel better and also to inspire me.
Perhaps some of you know this about me already, but I very much enjoy making video games. It's actually my favorite hobby, even above making videos, and it's something that I'm very heavily considering for my future career. So here's this game that I play, 100%, and I absolutely love. Everything about it is so well executed that I can't help but feel as though the games I create will never come close to the quality and success of a game like this. That was until I learned that this game didn't have a perfect development. Nowhere near, actually.
It went through many stages to get to where it is today, and the developer, Adam Robinson Yu, actually struggled with it along the way, which makes me feel better about struggling with my own projects.
If any of you are budding game developers, just know that, despite the fact that it isn't talked about very often, video games aren't easy to create, and likely all of your favorite games went through rough patches here and there. It's okay to struggle while making a game. It's okay to feel doubt while you're making a game. And it doesn't mean, by any circumstances, that your game will turn out poorly as a result. A Short Hike is a testimony to that.
A Short Hike is a game that thrives on its simplicity. With an excellent dynamic soundtrack, charming writing, and a unique and colorful visual style, A Short Hike is able to recreate the feeling of partaking in a relaxing and satisfying short hike. All of these factors combined are ultimately the reason why I love A Short Hike. Hey, you made it to the end. Thanks. I really do appreciate that. Sorry I just up and disappeared for a year. I unfortunately can't promise that I'll be uploading consistently now, but I'm going to start uploading as often as I can. Life has gotten awfully busy for me lately, but I find that I can always set aside a little bit of time to talk about the games I love. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe. Pretty please with sprinkles on top. That means you have to do it, by the way.